Howdy, howdy, fellow movie fans, and welcome back for another edition of the Wisco Movie Watchers podcast. As always, we are your hosts, Evan and Dylan Davies, with a special co-host in the background of Dylan's video, known as good old Lupin Davies.
Yeah.
Because there happens to be a work crew at Dylan's home right now, so Lupin is going to feature heavy with the barking, most likely. But let's have some fun nonetheless. And I know we're going to have fun for Dylan because what are we talking about today?
We got 2001's highest grossing film, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
So it's a shame that Dylan has long sleeves on now because he could show you how much he
Oh,
loves
yes.
Harry Potter as opposed to just say how much he loves Harry Potter. Suffice it to say, your favorite story of all time is Harry Potter. Just a
Yes,
collected
I
works.
would say as a whole, yes. The Sorcerer's Stone itself is probably my least favorite of all the books.
That's fair.
But
It's the most.
yeah,
It's the
I
most
think that's
childlike. It's the most kid-like.
yeah. And I think that's a pretty common sentiment.
Yes, it's an interesting sentiment because I will say this: I have not watched the movie that we're talking about in at least a decade, and I'm going to be honest. I
Oh, okay.
still I still can't remember. Like Ab watched it with me, and I turned to her. I was like, I don't even know if I've watched this with you. We've been together for 13 years now, so it's it's
Probably
one of
in
those.
theaters.
And so I was like, it's certainly we didn't watch it in the theater together, and one of the prerequisites for our relationship was that I had to read all the books because I hadn't read all the books yet. So there was always that. And so I read all the books just so I could keep dating her. Um, shows how much I love her. And I think Dylan agrees with that prerequisite, I guess. And
I would,
yeah,
yes.
but having said that, it's certainly something where it's like, I know I've watched the latter movies at the very least. I know I at least have a memory of Half Blood Prince and the Two Deathly Hollows, but I can't remember if I've ever watched. Yeah, there's a lot of prerequisites to dating and marrying my wife. It'll be a story for another day, Ash. So um, it'll be interesting for me to kind of go down memory lane with you because I was floored at how well made this movie was. And it's not like I thought it was a bad movie or anything, but I just haven't seen it in possibly 25 years, like 20 years or
Mhm.
15 years. So I'm like, well, what's going on here? Uh, Now, before we get heavy into the movie talk, we should put out the disclaimer. We've talked enough shit about her, so I think our thought process on J.K. Rowling should be very obvious by now for those who have listened to the show. We don't want to glorify J.K. Rowling in any sense. As a human being, she apparently sucks. So, and by apparently, it's by all her very transphobic views and highly problematic views that she continually just goes, no, I'm going to double down. I'm going to double down. I'm never going to
Yeah.
take the high road. I'm always going to take the low road in that sense. So, unless it is absolutely necessary, I do have one note to talk about. We're not going to really bring her up in the show. We get it. It's one of those art versus the artist conversations. And the one thing I will say, author of a book versus the people who made the movie is usually extremely different. So thankfully,
Yeah.
it helps a lot as opposed to, like I had a big issue when we talked about the Oscars last year with Roman Polanski, and I was like, I'm never going to watch The Piano, and it's because he's the director of the movie. He's the biggest voice of the movie, so I don't want to go down that road. And Roman Polanski's a huge piece of shit. So it's different, at least from the author and all the filmmakers' point of view. So that's just the prerequisite. Obviously, you rewatch this every year.
Eh, no, it's been quite a while because I've intentionally been putting it off.
Really? I thought you watched all the Harry Potter movies at least once a year.
No, I say the past 3 years I haven't watched them because I want to I'm not never gonna forget really the story or anything, but I wanted to feel a little bit more fresh than. but it's
That's
so.
that's fair. I've certainly done that with other movies where, I do that with indie, where I'll go a while without watching indie and then watch it specifically Raiders because I'm like, no, I need to be in the right mood for Raiders. I did that a long time for The Dark Knight, where I would not watch The Dark Knight. But if it ever got brought up in conversation, it was like one of the greatest movies of all time. I'll die on the hill for that movie. I love that movie, but I would not watch it. I
Mhm.
hadn't watched The Dark Knight for at least 3 to 5 years before we watched it for the show last year, or I guess 2 years now. Jesus Christ, it's getting wild. So, um, it's very interesting to see how you play around with your favorites. But really quick first impressions upon rewatching this. How'd you feel about
It's incredible.
it?
It's I would go so far as to say, in terms of what it is, which is a family movie, I would say it's a masterpiece in terms of that.
I'd agree with that. I would certainly agree with that. This is a movie that I thought I would be having a good, not great review for, and it is flabbergasted. I don't know if it's simply because I've been in the theater a lot in the past couple months, watching a lot of meh kind of movies,
Mhm.
or a lot of stuff recently. I'm like, it's okay, it's all right, it's good. This almost felt new to me because it's been so long, and I was flabbergasted at how much I loved watching this movie. Right off the bat, first note I had is get that John Williams right away. The second you see the Warner Brothers logo, it's John Williams the entire time.
Yeah,
And his music carries the entire movie through really, really well with all the themes, all the feelings that you're. Look, he was the perfect person to hire for this film
mhm.
because a romantic,
Well, yeah, he sets up the entire franchise,
yeah,
really, because even when you get away from him, which he did the first 3, even after that, they still stay in that style. They never change style at all.
absolutely, you never should. I mean, unless something John Williams does completely doesn't fit with your movie, you should always stick with John Williams. A, because he's the greatest of all time. Um, but B, he there is just something about his music that it evokes the emotion that you need to feel. And it was strange getting to watch this because this movie's almost anti Spielberg, where it's all stars in the cast except for your three main heroes. Obviously your kids will turn into stars, but yet it's like a super Spielbergy movie too because it has an all kids cast and they all do a really good
Yeah,
job, and it's such a weird dynamic, and then it feels even more Spielberg because you have John Williams doing the score. Like it's such a
yeah. I will
wild
say
thing.
I'm glad Spielberg was not involved, because at one point, there was talks of him. I don't think he was ever attached to direct, if I can't remember exactly, but at one point, he wanted to at least produce it, and they were talking about combining books together and changing it to America, like, all these things that just don't make sense now that it's such an established thing. So I am glad he wasn't involved, which is the first time I've ever said that in my life.
Well, yeah, I mean yeah. Anytime it is weird to see either of us, because if I had heard that now, hearing that now, I'm like, well, that's a bad idea. It's just
Yeah,
stay true. Because the thing is, what's hilarious is, don't get me wrong, Harry Potter's huge everywhere. Harry Potter is a global phenomenon. Having said that, it certainly hits home most in the U.S., which is so hilarious because it's a UK based product. but but this feels very much like an American dominated franchise in terms of the media presence, the because although the books were a phenomenon by themselves, what helped is the books started coming out and they became a huge thing, and then the movies hit and the movies were great, and it's an American production with a bunch of British stars, so it's a really strange dichotomy. It's almost, I always bring it up, but it feels very much like the '89 Batman, where we're going to bring all these Americans over, but we're going to use all this UK talent to really help us get it through. We're going to use Pinewood Studios. We're going to do all these things to make it feel like its own thing because we have the best of both worlds kind of
I
practice.
would call it a British production bought by an American studio.
Okay,
That's really because like literally everyone, the entire crew, director, except for the first two, all the directors are not American.
yeah.
Christopher Columbus is the only one who he went on to also executive produce the rest of them.
Has he?
Um,
Is he even credited then, or did I just miss that in some of the older movies?
he definitely produced the third one, and I want to say he was still technically a producer in the rest, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But I know for the third he was.
Okay, that's really
But
interesting.
yeah, because you get Christopher Columbus and then Alfonso Cuarón, who's Mexican, and then all the rest are British.
Because
Which I mean, there's only two other directors
it's David
because
Yates
David
and
Yates,
who else is the other one?
Mike Newell.
Because does Newell do four, and then the rest is all David Yates?
Yes, and I'm very upset about the fact that David Yates took control of the franchise. 'Cause I really like how each of them feel very distinct in their style.
Sure.
I wish they had just kept switching directors. I think that would have been really fun.
I would. I think I have no issue if it's 6, 7A and 7B would have had one director because that's really where you transition. Five is the transition point. Don't get me wrong, but like because four, although four is the moment happens, four is like the loss of innocence right at the end. Five is the transition where we are teenagers and we are dealing with
Yeah,
adult problems. I would have had zero issue, and I like your idea until you hit six. Then six, I'm like, have a cohesive vision to finish this bitch out, and
I would say the
and do things.
last two I would be fine with that. I just think David Yates is a little bit boring as a director.
Very
Like
safe. It's a very
yeah,
safe choice.
like that's the thing about it I don't like. I wish Alfonso Cuarón had come back at some point. That would have been fantastic.
Well, it's insane to think that I remember Alfonso Cuarón. The vast majority of his work in between these projects that I'm going to bring up was not very big was not very big box office type stuff because I remember knowing his name from Prisoner of Azkaban, and then the next time I saw his name in any press, it was for Gravity, and I was like, the guy, like everyone's like, what a visionary. I'm like, the guy who did Prisoner of Azkaban's visionary. Okay, I mean, okay, I don't know enough, but
I would say yes, he is.
But yeah, now that I know, I'm more educated now. I'm just not a
He
middle schooler. I'm like, oh, and then at the point as a just out of high school student, a young adult who still hadn't really formed all of that movie knowledge yet, I was just like, the guy who did Prisoner of Azkaban, we're talking about is this fucking genius. Okay, like it's a good movie. Let's not get crazy. And then, but now knowing everything that he's done and the way he
yeah.
presents things, like, no, that makes sense.
And to be fair to your point, he really doesn't do big movies.
No, he does not.
Like he's not a studio guy.
He feels like a Steven Soderbergh type. Because I remember Kevin
I would
Smith.
agree.
Kevin Smith said this about Steven Soderbergh, and this is something that I absolutely adore, and I think more directors should do. Is Soderbergh's method apparently was always, I'm going to do one for them, meaning the studio, and then I'm going to do one for me. And he would just keep kind of flip flopping back and forth between a studio project and a project that he was very much developing and his team wanted to do, so that he never lost the voice, but he always was still in the mix. So he could always get funding, he could always do these things, he could keep building these relationships that you need to build to get these bigger movies off. So he'd be like, all right, I'll go do an Ocean's 11, but then I'll go do something for myself. And
Mhm.
that's just, I don't understand why more directors don't work like that. Where just,
Well, Soderbergh in particular has like completely shunned himself out of studio work now,
yeah.
which hey, I really respect him. He makes a lot of crazy choices, and I can only respect it.
Oh, yeah. I can't even remember the last. What's the last movie I saw that's most recent that Steven Soderbergh directed? I think
He
it
made Black Bag last year, which it was a pretty good thriller. Like it was
is that the
fine.
Netflix one?
No, I don't think so. Because
Okay.
I saw it, I think I saw it on Peacock,
Okay.
but it
Huh.
was not like a big movie. It had Kate Blanchett
Oh,
and
okay.
Michael
Okay.
Fassbender.
Completely different thing than I was thinking of. But yeah, like, because I remember the last movie I think I've seen of his is like Lucky Number 11 or whatever.
Oh, okay,
No, no,
yeah.
no, no. Logan Lucky, I think is him.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Where it's like Daniel Craig is playing a Southerner,
Yeah,
and they're trying
and
to rob,
Channing Tatum.
and they're trying to rob Talladega or whatever. So you're like, what? Okay,
Yeah.
it's a fun movie. It's a really fun movie, but Steven Soderbergh always does fun stuff, so I'm always there for it. But yeah, going back to Quran and everything, it's certainly something in which Quran, at least, I think it's very important. Also, going back, where you said you wish they would have changed, I think it's really smart that they kept Columbus on for 1 and 2. Um, just because I think the tone matches very well between those two. And then even as you read it, Azkaban has its own thing. They all feel like their own thing. 5 and 6 kind of mesh for me a bit, and then seven's just seven. Um, when you read it, so it's interesting to kind of see that, and that's how I would have mirrored my tone, where I would have been like, I'm going to hire someone for 1 and 2, then I'm going to hire someone for 3, then I'm going to hire someone for 4, then I'm going to hire someone for 5, maybe 6, and then I'll get 7, or I'll do 6 and 7 together, so we have a cohesive vision and tone throughout the end of the series. Um, But Christopher Columbus does such a good job with this movie.
Well, I think the best thing he does is the team he assembles,
Oh
not
yeah,
just in terms of actors. I mean, it's literally like all British royalty actors.
yeah.
Like
It's the who's who of British royalty.
they're
Yeah,
incredible actors. But like Stuart Craig, who is the production designer, I would argue this is like in terms of a franchise, one of the strongest franchises in terms of production design.
I would
I
fully
think
agree
it's
with that.
incredible. And all the costuming and everything, it just feels very cohesive.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I think that's why Harry Potter has caught on so well, is the universe feels very cohesive and it's also very easy to understand, which that usually is a little bit of divisiveness within fantasy is
Oh yeah.
can you understand the world that the person's building?
Well, I certainly, I've obviously sung the praises of Tolkien, and also just they're literally on my desk right now because I've been reading through some of them as nighttime reading materials, extended universe stuff of Tolkien's writings. And it's certainly something in which, if you look at The Hobbit, very easy to understand. Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings, outside of the name drops of the past ages, Lord of the Rings is very easy to understand.
In terms of basic story, yes.
Yes. But yes, there is extended
I'm
pieces
saying
of it
like
that are hard.
even but Tolkien is much more of like I would say like I'm trying not to sound pretentious here. There's a very easiness to the prose of J.K. Rowling
Yes,
versus
there's.
Tolkien.
There
There's like
is.
it's very straightforward in terms of prose, and that's why I think it caught on so well.
This is where a modern writer who, and again, this is not to shit on her as a writer. She's extremely talented. Putting that to preface there as the writing part. There's a difference between someone who's a very talented writer who has a story and then figures out how to work backwards and put the pieces
Mhm.
together versus a 1930s English professor who just says, fuck it, I'm just going to write a story
Yeah.
and
Well,
write in
it's
a
like
1930s tone that also loves epics and mythology and all that stuff. Like, you're going to
yeah.
write differently. It's just the way writing happens.
The way I would delineate it is J.K. Rowling is a much better storyteller than she is a writer.
I would agree with that.
She's very good at constructing a story because literally all the books do feel kind of like movie plots. Like even just in terms of the plotting, there's a very structured way
It's a
of
very
her
A to B to
storytelling.
C to D to E. It's a very much
Yes.
here. How do we get from this format? Which I think helps certainly, because I don't want to take
Yeah,
away.
that's what makes it so easy to adapt.
Right, and that's the other thing is I don't want to take away from the books. The books are very wonderful material to read. And I know even as Abbott, like, because I remember when I said, "Hey, we're doing this for the show," she's like, "You sure you want to do that?" I was like, "Well, why wouldn't we want to do it? Obviously, and we have to do it because of the big box office series. So many of the Harry Potter movies are the number one hits of their year. So I was like, we have to do a lot of them anyways.
I think it's two.
Is it just Deathly Hallows and Sorcerer's Stone?
I think it's just Deathly Hallows Part 2 and Sorcerer's Stone.
Weird. Oh, but they're
They're
always like
all,
top five and stuff like
yeah,
that.
they're always hanging around the top, but I think those are the only two number ones.
Okay. But I was like, no matter what, we're gonna have to cover. And she's like, I just, I don't want. She's very much like, do you really want to give more credit to J.K. Rowling? I'm like, oh, don't worry, we shit on J.K. Rowling a lot. It's
Yeah.
just we.
Hey, it's just you and me don't really have a hard time separating the
I
two.
certainly don't in here simply because it helps because the movies are such a different thing, and I don't want to take away from her writing, but the reason Harry Potter is at the status that it is in pop culture is because of the movies. It's not because of the books. And I know that's a crazy thing to say, but if you actually look at it, where does Harry Potter go from, oh my God, what a phenomenal book series, to it's taking over pop culture? What drives that? It's the movies, it's not the books.
100%.
And why does Universal have two Harry Potter worlds or multiple Harry Potter worlds in the world? Because of the movies. And
Yes.
and also, don't get me wrong, there's very few and far between, but there's illustrations for every chapter in the Harry Potter books. But the production design, the costume design, that's what really brings Harry Potter to life
Yeah.
in a
Well,
way.
that's actually a perfect point. Like a testament to the production design are those two theme parks.
Yeah, yeah.
Like those are just complete odes to the production design of the world.
It, it makes it feel tangible and real. And
Yeah.
also, like, it's the production design is so well in the movies. And then Universal finally did what theme parks always said they were going to do. Like, don't get me wrong, Disney did rides and the Cinderella's castle, but Disney's never done a full park where it's just all out. Everything is designed in a manner in which everything's cohesive. They always had multiple worlds and multiple pavilions and these things. I do know my theme park history, so I don't want anyone being like, "Oh, no, that's not how it is." I'm like, don't get me wrong, I get it. Magic Kingdom is cohesive, but there's one clear standout. It's the Cinderella Castle and everything else. But the production design in Universal Studios with Harry Potter World is so insanely detailed that truly, when you enter into Diagon Alley, you feel like you're in Harry Potter. You
Hmm.
and I would share this. It's Dylan and I, our teen years were pretty fucked for a while. Simply, our parents got divorced. A lot of other stuff happened. We both kind of went our own way, trying to figure out what we wanted to do in this world, and still were lost at the time we did it. But we went to Harry Potter World soon after it opened in like 2015. It was the first time we'd been on a family vacation in a decade. And
Mm.
I got teary eyed watching you and Ab just run through Harry Potter World because you were a kid again. It's the first time I'd seen that since you were little. Where Dylan and Dylan and Ab were literally shouldering their way in between little kids to use their wands. That's how excited they were to be a
It's
part
an
of
awesome place.
the Harry Potter world. It's certainly something in which, if they ever brought Gotham to life like that, or if they ever brought Lord of the Rings like that to the world where you could step in and feel tangibly like you're in it, I wouldn't be shocked when I go to New Zealand eventually in life and go to Hobbiton that I'll
Mhm.
just be on cloud nine all day because I'm like I'm in my fantasy world that's meant the world to me, right? Uh, that's how good that production design is, and it's brought straight from the movies. Because I could not get over how every single scene in Sorcerer's Stone, I was just like, you feel like you can just reach out and touch the stonework. You feel like if you grabbed that railing on the staircase, it's gonna move on you. But you feel like
Mhm.
you could do it because it's tangible and real.
Well, it helps that they're on real sets.
Yes. I mean, I would like to know how much that turned into green screen over time.
I'm assuming quite a bit,
Yeah.
just because that's the way movies trended. But in terms of the first one, I think it's like
It's almost all real.
I would probably guess it's maybe like 10% sets in terms of like the grand scale of Hogwarts,
Yeah.
and then it's like 5 different castles in England just combined together to look like one thing.
Yeah.
Have you seen the miniature they built of Hogwarts?
No.
It's like there's a lot of great behind the scene photos of it. It's like as high as a person, it's like 6 feet tall, and it's like this big, like
40 foot, 50 foot set, essentially.
it's probably like 25 feet, I would say, but
Okay.
it's like a good 8 feet tall, and it's really awesome.
I I think that's another thing is Sorcerer's Stone has a bit of that old movie magic to it,
Yeah. Well, it's
much like
still
Star Wars or Indy did back in the
yeah, it's
day.
doing a lot of the same like technical stuff. Yeah.
Because that's why I've always recommended it so much. Light and Magic. I love seeing the footage when they built the 40 foot stretch of the Death Star for the trench, and
Oh
you're like,
yeah.
holy shit, that's enormous and huge. And they're like, we couldn't figure anything else out, so we just shot it while moving in a truck next to it. And you're like, that's how you guys made that? You just made a huge miniature and just drove a truck by? but
You
that
kind of had to at the
but
time.
it's 76, so
Yeah.
76 early 77, so I get it. But it's certainly something where, because in your head you see this as a child and you're like, oh my god, this is amazing, and they brought this world to life and I feel like I could touch it, it's so cool. And then when you see the behind the scenes of it, you're like, it's just a bunch of tape and a
Yeah.
truck driving by. Like,
Well, yeah, and Harry Potter as a franchise really never was like a pioneer of any kind of filmmaking.
no,
It's just taking the best of filmmaking and doing it well.
absolutely.
It's not like Star Wars where it's literally revolutionary in terms of what they're able to do with optical effects, or like Avatar where it's 100% virtual production.
Yeah.
It's never really pioneering any kind of thing, but I don't care about that.
It doesn't matter. You don't have to be a pioneer. You don't have to be
Yeah,
great. Some I look at it similarly to football. Not everyone's going to have a Bill Walsh West Coast offense that revolutionizes the sport. Not everyone's going to have a 2000 Ravens defense where you literally cannot move against them
yeah.
because they're just that talented.
Well,
Sometimes
I take that back. They are a pioneer. They made Alan Rickman a good guy, and that's never done.
he's never portrayed as a baby face until the last movie though, Dylan. Like,
Yeah, but ultimately, he's a good guy.
yes, that is pioneering, I guess, but he's a heel the entire time. like,
Oh no, he's a complete asshole.
like, he's a heel until literally the 3 minutes before he dies. Like,
Yeah, I'm just saying it's not done many times.
that's true. That's true. You want to get some notes about the movie itself, or you want to just keep
I didn't
talking
take any
atmosphere?
notes, so
Well, you don't
mm,
have to take notes. I just want to talk about the intro. I took so many notes on just the intro. Great that they got John Williams music going right away. The Dumbledore entrance immediately makes him have a presence, and it's very cool. The I love how the open shows three different, wildly different uses of magic. Dumbledore and his little device that steals all the lights away from
Illuminate.
the Illuminator. The McGonagall transforming from the cat, and I love the fact that they did it through shadow work, and then so they could save it for another moment when it's actually on screen.
Mhm.
I loved that. Hagrid with a flying motorcycle, right? Like these are three very different ways to show, oh, there's different uses for this magic. And
Yes.
and I really appreciated that. And Privet Drive looks stunningly gorgeous for just a little suburb of England. Like it's just,
Yeah. Well, that's what it's supposed to be 100% just ordinary.
and I love that they look at it and then it's just poured into this. But the open, I was amazed at how not just efficient. This movie is super efficient with character development. You get everybody right away. You're just like,
Yeah.
okay, that's babyface. We're supposed to cheer for them. That's a heel. That person fucking sucks. That person, they might have some potential, but they ain't good right now. Like you get it immediately who these characters are.
Yes. And I think it helps that eh, like all the people are stars.
Yeah.
And you kind of get their general feeling pretty quickly.
Well, I mean, one of the notes I have here afterwards is, I just the intro is lightning quick. Every scene introduces new magic, whimsy so well. There's very whimsical. I would assume this fits the cozy movie tag for you,
Yeah, I would say the first two probably are the coziest of all.
but one of my first notes about actual performance, the Dame is so good. The Dame is so good for McGonagall, man. Like,
Yeah, her and Richard Harris, which again, that's another thing to talk about is like I would be really curious to see what they would have done with Richard Harris like going forward because he doesn't really fit um like more the action side of Dumbledore, but he fits extremely well with the warmth that Dumbledore's supposed to have.
he feels, yeah, he's very like Dumbledore's very. It's kind of funny because it's almost as if just because we've talked parables before, where it feels very much in terms of the film production, they just said, all right, we're going to do Gandalf, but we're going to split Gandalf's two personalities essentially. And the first part is only going to be the warm, fuzzy, grandfatherly, loves you, cares about you, and guides you without actually doing much. And then we're going to take the very action oriented Gandalf, and he's going to be the whole end. And that's how we're going to play Dumbledore. He's either going to, he can only be warm, fuzzy grandpa, or he can only be action wise grandpa. He can't be both at
Yeah,
the same time,
it's actually a good way of saying it is yeah, he is pretty much the two sides of Gandalf,
which is also why
which
anytime someone says Dumbledore's better than Gandalf, I lose my shit. So I'm like,
which
no,
again,
don't
that's
fuck with
just
me right now.
illustrating the fact of even the books, Harry Potter books, are not pioneering anything completely new in fantasy.
Well, they do, but it's in a completely different sense. They, no fantasy series has ever reached the heights of Harry Potter while doing as much variance on magical inclusion. Like series are usually very like Lord of the Rings, for example. It has made up magical creatures, right? But it
Yeah,
doesn't
sure,
go to the depth of we have vampires and we have werewolves and we have unicorns and we have fucking
sure.
centaurs and we have all these different things where that is such a huge part of Harry Potter. You know, the house elves and all this kind of stuff. It's very traditional. We have humanoid races of people that do these things in Lord of the Rings. And then we have giant eagles.
Mhm.
And otherwise, it's pretty much outside of a few things and giant spiders. Otherwise, we have pretty normal creatures for the most part, right?
Yeah,
Where Harry Potter does a lot of Harry Potter is the biggest example I can think of just taking every single fantasy puzzle piece and just going, I'm going to put this piece here, and I'm going to put
Yeah.
this piece here,
Yeah, it's a grab bag.
and do a lot of stuff with it, which is why it feels so varied and exciting, because nothing ever gets stale, because they can just keep pulling from all these different cool pieces,
Mhm.
um, which is incredible. But I was just flabbergasted at how well they hit characters. You get those characters so fast. So fast, you're just like, I understand this character right away.
Mhm.
And the first act flies by. It flies by because you just keep getting new piece of magic, new piece of magic, new
Yeah.
piece of magic.
And this is a pretty long movie.
I was shocked when I saw 232 and I was like, what?
Yeah.
This
Both
is
the first and second one are pretty long, which I completely forgive the first one because they have to set up
right.
so much. And that's the thing with all uh first movies in a franchise is like I kind of forgive them quite a bit just because they have to set up so much.
Specifically in a fantasy franchise, yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta do world building is really important. And what's funny is so many people who teach writing, when they talk, people always want to make the fantasy novel, right? They're like, you got to stop with all the world building. You got to stop that. But it's different. You have to set your world up. You have to build your world, and not necessarily. You don't have to go to fucking Hurin or Turin, son of Hurin, son of Huar, and blah 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 blah. You don't have to do that. But you do have to be like, okay, here are the parameters for our magic. For my magic, here's the parameters for this. Here are these locations that are really important. Here's how everything feels. You got to do all that shit. You can't
Mhm.
just do, guy walks down the street, magic happens. Like, that's not how it works. Also, I wouldn't be doing my job properly if I didn't do it. Recently watched 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, which I had a lot of
Mhm.
fun in. And my first note after movie wise was that runtime was like 145, 150, and I was like, oh, hits the Dylan Davies standards. So if anyone wants to go, that review is up right now on the channel. I did the 28 Years Later, the Bone Temple, but I was like, oh, it hits the Dylan Davies standard of it better be sub 2 hours, unless it's really damn good.
Yeah, you need to earn your runtime.
uh, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't do that. Also, the CGI in here, that was the only note I had, and it's 2001, so I'm very
It's
forgiving.
it's good for the time.
It's very good for the time. It's very see through now.
Yes.
Where CG on the Sorting Hat could improve. Looks a little poop emoji esque. Um,
Sure.
the troll looks good when it's on the ground, but while it's standing and doing stuff, could look better.
Yeah, that's definitely a blend of practical and
Right.
uh, CG. Um, I do think the CG works more in this than it would have if they didn't play it so kind of like goofy.
Yeah.
Like they play it off well enough where it's still fun. Whereas if you try to take it 100% serious and
Right.
you had the it's not subpar, it's good CG, but
It's good CG, especially for the time. It's just the only reason I even put a note on it. I was just like, well, we did just get Lord of the Rings in the exact same year, and that
exactly.
CG is you can't see through that unless you're
Eh,
really picking it apart.
yeah, and that's my point is like because that CG is so good, you can take it 100% serious in Lord of the Rings,
Right.
whereas it would be a little weird to have that mix in Harry Potter.
Right. But I just love all those pieces here. Also, I need to take a scene um, talking about how well you get to know these characters right away. You know the Snape entrance into potions class where he just storms in.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's a TikTok trend now of people put cloaks and capes on their pets and they just play the audio as they're running around their homes. in that. So app
Hmm.
states TikTok trend of pets with Snape's intro to potions. That's a very important note. You need to put that in the show. I was like, okay. But then I looked at some of the videos. I'm like, it's actually pretty funny.
Is it this one or is it from Prisoner of Azkaban?
No, it's this one where
Okay.
there'll
Because
be
there's also the famous entrance where turns and says, "Turn to page 394,"
yeah,
which that was like a meme a while ago.
yeah. It's funny how as time has passed, it seems like almost everyone's favorite character, second favorite character, is Snape now, and it's just because of
Yeah.
how he's so straight man that it's comedic, where in a
Yeah,
sense,
I do think some people give him too much for the benefit of the doubt sometimes.
yeah,
Like people say like, "Oh, Snape's my favorite character," and then they're like, "Oh, he's such a good guy." I'm like, "No, he's a complete
he's a
dick.
prick.
He's an asshole."
The thing is,
I still love him as a character.
that's the thing is like when I talk about Game of Thrones with people, my favorite character is Tywin Lannister. I'm not out here saying like Tywin Lannister's a great guy, but he's
Oh
my
no,
favorite character because
he's a great character. Yeah.
he's so intriguing and he's so
Well, Game of Thrones also has Jaime Lannister, who's like one of the most villainous characters of all time at the beginning, and he has a complete redemption arc by the end.
right. I love Jamie Lannister. Yeah,
And it's like that's the good part of fantasy world building is like you
over
can have a lot
time,
of yeah, you can have a lot of depth over time. And Harry Potter does that pretty well. You never get too far into the darkness, really. It is kind of a black and white world in the end of the
it's a very
day.
black and white world, which is why standouts like Snape
Yeah.
can they either play it really quickly as one book, one movie, Sirius Black. Oh, he's so bad, and you're like, no, 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 he's been framed, and you're like, that's bullshit. He's my
Yeah.
fucking guy. Whereas there's only one true redemptive arc, and it's not even really a redemption. It's simply
A reveal.
a reveal. And that's the interesting part with it is with Snape is you are correct and people are way too forgiving. He's just a prick to this kid for no
Yeah.
reason.
I think it also helps that Alan Rickman is Snape and everyone loves Alan Rickman.
Oh yeah.
So it's very easy to like him as a character.
God, I would have loved to see he obviously he passed way too soon, but eh,
Yeah.
it would have been so fun to get Alan Rickman in some of these other franchises just to get a little bit more gravitas there. Like I could see Alan Rickman doing such a good job with some of these Marvel villains that are just kind of meh. On paper, they're some of the best villains Marvel has, but in practicality, when they film them, it's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, they used them. I would have
I'm
loved,
glad he never was because they Marvel always tends to like underuse their best actors.
yeah. I mean, it's true, unless their name is Robert Downey Jr. or Chris Evans. Yeah, they always
Yeah,
are
but
like,
those two are the draws to those movies. I'm talking about like
and
Robert Redford. Like he's barely in it. They barely use him.
yeah, Anthony Hopkins is Odin. Yeah, like
Yeah, exactly. Like these huge stars in film history, they always underuse them.
yeah. I mean, so they do better when they're in a villain role because you have to give more time to the villain, but it's only specific villains. Like Hela gets a lot of screen time with Kate Blanchett,
Mhm.
but it's a lot more screen time than a lot of the villains get in
Yeah,
in Marvel. So it is interesting, but I would love to see Alan Rickman get to be, or especially like the um alternate timelines and the multiverse. Just imagine Alan Rickman as like an evil Stephen Strange, or a Baron Mordo who just always hates
mm.
Doctor Strange. That'd be so much fun because he would just have that air of superiority the entire time, and it'd be fun to get to do. I would just love some of that stuff.
I think Alan Rickman would make if he was younger, he would have made a good Doctor
He would have
Strange.
made a phenomenal Doctor Strange because you come to love Doctor Strange. You don't love Doctor Strange right away. You love Doctor
Mm.
Strange because of the vast majority of people, such as myself, who consider Doctor Strange one of their favorite Marvel characters. It's not because you love Stephen Strange. You love the capability of what Doctor Strange can do and how pragmatic he can be, and then eventually you fall in love with the character and the person. But you don't you fall in love with the sizzle, not the steak, with Doctor Strange right away. And I think that's what it is. Like I would have loved to see Alan Rickman play Doctor Strange. That would have been really cool. Uh, is there anywhere else you really want to go? Otherwise, I'm just going to throw out some really fun notes for this one.
Just go for it. I have
First of
nothing
all,
but good things to say.
I know you do. Uh, let me tell you, these fucking owls are Aaron Rodgers accurate with this goddamn mail. Like,
I think that's the magic, not so much the
oh
owls.
no, I was like, well, they're enchanted, but then they have all the other items that are just dropped in Hogwarts. I'm like,
Oh,
no,
sure.
these fuckers are just these are it's goddamn Aaron Rodgers for owls right now, where it's just pinpoint accuracy everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Where it's just how does that broomstick land perfectly in front of all three of them, right?
Yeah, they're the B-52 bombers.
Yeah, it's just like they're just like boom, right here, right here. Like the letter. I'm like, okay, fine. Well, we can say the Hogwarts letter is enchanted. But you just telling me the random copy of the Daily Prophet that gets dropped, that's enchanted too? Like, come on. Or the random just items that get sent. Are you telling me, when someone gets sent a sweater by their mom, that
Hey,
that's enchanted?
there is a magic to the owls themselves. Because like Harry will all the time he'll like send a letter to Sirius Black, and somehow Hedwig finds him.
Oh yeah, I know.
Like Hedwig should have no way of finding him, but
Zero.
somehow
Um, the Harry needs some Eric Dickerson rec specs for Quidditch because those glasses are not sports approved.
they switch it over in the third one. He gets some goggles.
Because he needs some of those Eric Dickerson 80s rec specs. You know what I'm
Oh,
talking about?
sure, sure, yeah.
Which is hilariously, and this is before all the scandal broke out with Brett Favre. I visited the Pro Football Hall of Fame, so I visited Mecca on my way out when we brought Ab out to Baltimore for an away rotation in med school. And in the same casing, they had the jersey and the cleats and everything that Brett wore when he broke Marino's passing record for touchdowns. And right next to it was the Eric Dickerson's rec specs from his record breaking season where he had the most rushing yards. And
Mhm.
even as the biggest Brett Favre fan at the time, I still was like, yo, the fucking rec specs are here. That's so goddamn cool. Like, I lost my shit over that. I'm like, Harry needs some real big 80s style rec specs to play Quidditch because those
It would be helpful.
those paper thin fucking glasses are not helping anybody right now. Like, goddamn.
Yeah.
Uh,
Also, Daniel Radcliffe was allergic to heat glasses,
wait,
apparently.
what?
Yeah, he always talks about how like it's a good thing the filmmakers didn't believe in like omens and stuff because like they made him like break out all the time until
Really?
they switched it. I'm assuming it's kind of like how some people are allergic to like cheaper metals.
Yeah,
I'm assuming it's kind of that thing.
I would assume, but I never knew that. That's really interesting. Um, the the a flowing cloak just looks good, man. How many scenes they just have flowing cloaks? Columbus was like, let's throw another one in. Let's throw
All the
another one in.
costumes are great. Like not just the school student robes, but like all of Maggie Smith's outfits are fucking awesome.
Oh, they're incredible.
Dumbledore
Dumbledore.
looks incredible.
Snape looks obvious. Quirrell looks good. Madam Hooch looks great. Like they all have this. Hagrid. You get Hagrid's vibe immediately,
Yeah.
and it's a really interesting thing. I think all the stuff with the Mirror of Erised, really interesting and unique stuff, and that's a great world building piece that you can explain really quickly. But everyone
Mhm.
understands it as the great morality play. I love that. uh, back to John Williams, the entire Christmas suite of music is superb. I think it's the best music in the entire movie in terms of the actual, you know, obviously we have the themes that we all know. We know Hedwig's theme, we know the big sweeping operatic Harry Potter theme, but in terms of just the actual music that's playing throughout, the Christmas suite is the best.
I think even going forward, like all the movies, that's kind of the standout for most of the scores is the Christmas part.
Yeah, and they also are unique because they're always a standout. They
Because like
always feel different.
there's a song in the score of Goblet of Fire, I think it is, called Harry and Winter, and that's like one of my favorite pieces in the entire franchise.
Who
Like
takes over after John Williams?
the fourth one is someone new. I can't remember the name. The fifth one is a new guy. The sixth one is the new guy. And then seven and eight are Alexander Desplat or Desplat,
Okay.
who's Wes Anderson's
Yeah.
normal
Oh,
composer.
he's phenomenal. He's a great
Yeah,
composer.
he's great. I I do like his blend because he tends to use a lot of John Williams's work within his own. I do like that blend a lot.
Well, it's wise you echo back to what the beginnings are, and it's no different than when obviously it's the same composer the entire time, but you get the same feelings of when you get those notes in the Dark Knight and you go back to um, those first scenes with Bruce as a kid. And you get those nice, more innocent tones that Hans Zimmer puts through, or you go to um, look at Lord of the Rings and how every time there's uh, a moment where the Fellowship is down or anybody's down, they play those first few inspirational notes from Hobbiton, and they
Mhm.
really lift you back up. It's a similar vibe, and I think it's a really smart choice when people do those things. I think there's a reason it's an industry standard because it's great when you do it
Yeah.
because you immediately echo people
I
back to the good feeling.
I really do wish they John Williams could have stayed on the entire time
Yeah.
because I think that is probably the strongest point I think of Lord of the Rings is how strong the motifs are
Yes.
and how well they can like do variations of it.
Howard Shore is impeccable throughout all of that music, and they can bring it back.
It does help that there's only three movies. Like obviously John Williams getting tied to eight movies would have been a challenge.
It's nothing he hasn't done before.
Yeah, exactly. Star Wars, he's done how many?
Yeah, I
So
mean, he's done at least four indies, and I know he at least did a little bit for Indy 5. He did six
he
Star
is,
Wars movies and then did parts for did seven and then parts for 8 and 9 too. So it's not as
yeah,
if he hasn't done stuff like this.
and he gets nominated for every single one just because he's John Williams.
It's not wrong.
And some of those later Star Wars, you don't
That
deserve it.
the music's the strongest part of all those Star Wars. The music's the
I
only
would
stuff
agree.
that's really great.
I'd agree with that, but I'm just saying it's not top tier John
I don't
Williams.
know, man. That Ray theme is really good. It's
It's like the one
really
standout piece of music. That's
the
it.
rest is all good too, but it's
It's
just
all good, but it's not like, wow, this is iconic.
I don't know. John Williams.
You can't argue Rise of Skywalker as anything iconic.
Well, Rise of Skywalker, shit. Like, yeah, but
I'm pretty sure he got nominated for it.
worth it to
Hey,
me.
he's
To
the Meryl Streep of the music category.
do you know who he actually is? He at the time of Rise of Skywalker, he's Washington Wizards Michael Jordan,
Sure.
who because of all of his past work, you can look and go, he can still put up 40 a night if he wants to. He just can't jump the way he used to. But
Yeah.
like people think Jordan was absolute shit in Washington, and he wasn't. He was still a very
No,
good
he's good.
player. It's just he did not have the same physical tools to be
Yeah.
the guy anymore. But that's how I always look. That's why I'm like, John Williams is Michael Jordan. Even at the end, when he's getting put into these projects where you're like, can we please just throw him a fucking bone to work with? Please give him something to work
Yeah.
with. And then you're giving him fucking Ryan Johnson's dumbass shit to work with. You're like, come on.
who's the LeBron in this situation then? Hans
Oh,
Zimmer?
yeah, I guess.
I don't care for Hans Zimmer that much.
I know you don't, but the reason I would say the
Although
LeBron is,
he just got attached to the Harry Potter TV series.
I did see that, and I don't know how I feel about that, but
Me either, but we'll see.
I'm gonna be honest. If that Harry Potter series wanted to succeed, just take the music from the other stuff and just rework it a little bit.
I think they should stick with the theme, Hedwig's theme,
Yes, it is a
because it's
very
iconic.
stupid idea to go away from it. Because the other thing
Oh,
is this.
sorry, echoic.
Got it.
Iconic.
Yes, because it is certainly something in which this entire generation. What doesn't make sense to me, right, is the people who grew up with Harry Potter. It's the same audience that's gonna you're trying to get for this series. You're not gonna like it's an HBO series, which is now I guess gonna be Netflix. We don't know.
True.
Who knows? Which by the way, finally, I don't know how long this is gonna last, so I'm taking it with a grain of salt. I was happy to see multiple reports over 2 to 3 weeks time that the Netflix CEO has at least said, I want, for theatrical, we're going to at least keep a 45-day window, which isn't that far from industry standard.
I'll believe it when I see it.
I'm still going to do the exact same thing of I'll believe it when I see it, but that's at least a
Plus,
positive note.
that also doesn't solve my biggest problem of physical media.
Yes, that is a bigger issue. But who is this new Harry Potter series trying to draw? You're not going to draw kids.
Yeah,
You're going
I'd
to draw
assume
you and
I'd
me.
assume what they're trying to go for is they're trying to appeal to kids, but I don't think it's going to work that well.
No,
I mean, who knows? Maybe it will. Maybe it'll just catch fire, like
it,
kind of like Stranger Things did, but
that's a tall order, dude. Because Stranger
I know.
Things was its own thing. It was just it captured lightning in a bottle, and then they learned let's just keep pouring more nostalgia juice on it, but also keep doing our own thing, and it'll work. You because this isn't like a Batman or a Superman or various other heroes where you constantly reinvent because you have to differentiate them from the last one. And even still, look, the most successful part of Superman was the fact that they went back to the old iteration of Superman essentially, and they reused
True.
and did a redo of the John Williams score for Superman. That's the first time I felt positive about that movie. I was like, I don't know, Superman and like James Gunn I like, but I don't know if I don't see James Gunn and Superman ahead in my head. And then that first trailer came out and they did the redo of the John Williams score with it, and I went, "Oh, I get it. I'm gonna try this, and I'm gonna go in
Yeah.
probably positively about this." It's the same reason why I still love, even though that movie is absolute shit. Even when they just play those 4 or 5 notes to the initial Batman theme from Danny Elfman in Justice League, I still lose my shit because I'm like, finally, just play the fucking march. Don't give me all these other attempts to be as good. Just play the good shit. That's all I want you to do.
Yeah. Well, I know one thing. They're not appealing to the hardcore Republicans
No.
because I know Snape is black
Yep.
and Hermione is black.
Oh
So
God.
everyone's gonna get
Oh.
ready for the woke Harry Potter memes.
Yeah. Can't wait for that. As if, as which that's part of the reason why people are so disappointed in the creator, because Harry Potter, in and of itself, is a super liberal story. Like,
Well, that's what I said. I can't remember what episode we talked about it, but it's like Harry Potter was always about acceptance to
right,
me. So it's such a confusing thing.
right, like just a cute, quick scenes here. I think the the scene in the dark forest when Quirrell slash Voldemort is drinking unicorn blood, that shit's rad. Like that shit's metal.
Yeah.
Love
See,
that.
that's I think Harry Potter's strongest point is it gets dark enough to still be intriguing for. adults.
Right. I love that. The wizard chess scene, I think, is impeccable. That might be the best scene in the movie for me. It just because they really ramp up the pace and it feels, they make a chess game feel very dramatic in a way
Sure.
that you don't see much. And I love that. And also shows hilariously, because they don't do it enough in the later stuff, Ron does have critical thinking skills. He doesn't show it
Yeah.
all the time, but he has critical thinking
Well,
skills.
no, the problem is the movies give all his critical thinking skills to Hermione,
Yes.
and then did they just leave Ron as kind of like a bumbling sidekick?
He's the bumbling best friend. He's
That's
never.
my that's one of my gripes with the movies is like Ron is such a better character in the books than he is in the movies.
Yes. Well, it's also difficult when I'm sitting on the couch and I was like, I'm sitting next to my wife who's as book smart as they come and is a brilliant doctor. And I'm just like, yeah, I get this trope with this relationship because I'm living it right now.
Hmm.
I'm like, cool, cool. Because I remember the first time it dawned on her, she's like, oh my God, I married Ron Weasley. I'm like, yep, you did. It's okay. It's even better because the ginger's still here. So you're like, yeah, that's where you are.
Hey, Ron's still a great character.
Ron's a great character. We love it. We love it. And also, I love that good Raiders of the Lost Ark shit with Quirrell dissolving. That's straight out of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I fucking love it.
Yes. Also extremely dark. Darker than the book
Which is
because in
good.
the yeah, in the book all it does is Quirrell like his skin starts to burn and stuff, and then he eventually dies of his wounds. Harry doesn't literally murder him
Yeah.
in the books, which I love that part in the movies where he like looks at his hands and he's like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna burn this. I'm gonna destroy this guy."
It is his
He
choice.
he Thanoses him.
Yeah, he dusts them pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But that staggering. I love that staggering dissolve. That is such a good effect and so incredible. It, we do eventually. Let's make a note just so you and I both remember it. We got to go through the archives, see all the big box offices that we've done, and we got to rank all the big box office movies.
I was gonna say we should at the very end we should do a tier list, not a ranking, but a tier list.
Okay. And you want to wait until we do every single one of them?
Well, it's only like 50 movies.
I know, but we do a lot of shows in between the big box office stuff.
We maybe we could do it by decade or something.
It's a possibility. It's a possibility. But yeah, we got to rank them or put them in a tier list or do something with it because we keep saying we're going to do it and then we just,
I
like,
just think ranking's going to be extremely difficult.
well, yeah, because 1981 is going to win.
Probably. Yes.
It's going to be 1981 and everything after it. That's all that's going to matter. No spoilers for a couple months from now when we cover 1981's biggest box office hit. Which, by the way, I want to ask you: do you want to get in on the Indiana Jones gaming scene a little bit for Really Snappy Gaming? Because I'm trying to do a couple of tie-ins between the podcast, the movie anniversaries, and the games if they're existent.
Are you saying watch me play it?
We could get you in here and do it. Yeah,
No, no, no. I'm saying no one wants to watch me play video games. I am extremely bad at video games.
that's why it's even better. You're
I
the
die
best Indiana
so
Jones.
much. Like there was one part in the Great Circle game. Oh, it was the very end where you're supposed to beat up the like main Nazi doctor guy,
Sure.
and I it took me at least an hour to do it. I kept dying so much.
Trust me, from if anyone's part of this, Ash could probably attest to this. Yesterday in my Zelda playthrough, in the first dungeon, the literal start of the game, I was like, "What the fuck am I supposed to do?" Because I'm playing it like it's. I intentionally picked up a ROM of the 1998 Ocarina of Time, and it's still in square view like it was in 1998. And I was just like, where the fuck do I go? How am I doing this? So trust me, there's a market for all that stuff. So maybe we'll get
Yeah,
you on that. Because also,
maybe I could play The Last of Us 2
okay,
because I really enjoyed the first one. I just played that,
because then the also maybe we'll get a little Hogwarts
but
Legacy action.
also Yeah, I could. That's easy. I don't die much in that game. The Last of Us, I die a lot, so it would not be fun to
And
watch. But
also, we can stream straight from your Xbox straight to Twitch, so that's why we could
hmm,
give you a list. Still going to stream Last of Us 2. That'd be interesting. It'd be an interesting guest spot. I have thought
if you
about.
don't mind watching someone struggle extremely, then it's okay.
Well, I've thought about getting everybody that is part of like the universe of the podcast that I've created to do a guest spot of a game and just be like, okay, they're gonna play this, and then I'll give a reason, and then maybe I'll join the stream a little bit just to kind of talk as they're playing, but then still do the it's on them. Let's have some fun.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, like I definitely wanted to do something of that nature, but we'll see. I'm gonna make Evan. Oh God, I'm gonna make Evan watch me play Hello Kitty Island Adventure. Thanks, Ash. I'll appreciate that one. That'll be real fun. But
I don't even want to know what that is.
you're also so you're also so you're not anti video game, but you play so few games
Yeah,
that it's interesting to say the least. But
I've probably played more video games in the past 3 weeks than I have in the past 5 years because I played two video games.
yeah.
So
Also, it's important to note Ash just did this. South Park coined the name Hello Kitty Island Adventure, and then it became a real thing in 2023 that they actually made a game called Hello
huh,
Kitty Island Adventure.
wonder if they had to pay uh, Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
It would be fun to see if that was true. And eventually, we're gonna have to play. Eventually, we're gonna have to cover uh, South Park, bigger, better, longer cut or whatever it is, and I'll play some of the South Park games
I
during that time.
Yeah, I have never seen that movie.
Nor have I.
I've only seen the show,
I
so
mean, I've seen half of the episodes of the show. I love that. I love South Park, but
yeah. At this point, I've probably seen like a quarter of them because they've been on for so long.
that's the thing is like they keep going and I don't keep up with them, and that's where
Yeah,
I'm like, that's why I was like, I still think it's a. If someone told me I've seen half The Simpsons, I'd be like, that's an accomplishment because that
true.
show's older than we are. So I'm
Yeah.
like, no, you don't understand. Like that's a big thing to say that. And South Park is of that milieu as well, which is interesting. But going back to Harry Potter, I just think this movie's superb. Sorcerer's Stone. If this movie with just say they improve the CGI to 2026 standards.
No, don't touch it.
I know I'm not saying they should, but I'm saying if they released it today, it had never been released. This movie would easily be one of the best movies of the year
Yes.
immediately because it just understands how to tell a fucking story
Yeah.
and does it really efficiently.
Yeah. Uh, in our upcoming tournament,
Yeah.
it's going to score very highly in terms of its impact.
Harry Potter will do probably pretty well in that best franchise tournament that we got coming our
Yeah.
way in March, which is something to look forward to. But I loved my time with Sorcerer's Stone again. It was really fun getting to watch this again. And immediately I'm like, oh, I want to go watch Chamber of Secrets. I'm like, do I? Do I?
Hey, Chamber of Secrets is fun.
It's not that it's not fun. I was like, do I really want to go on a Harry Potter marathon right now? I was like, I'm playing so many games. I'm doing so many things. Ash can attest. I'm making new graphics on a daily basis. I'm uploading like 10 goddamn videos a day to YouTube. Like, I'm playing Twitch games constantly, building this platform. So I'm like, do I want to then go and do a Harry Potter marathon and not do something new? Because
Hmm.
ironically enough, I started pretty well. One of the new movies I've watched, new to me, is I watched Dante's Peak while stuck in the Virgin Islands.
It's okay.
It's a good movie. It's a good little disaster flick.
I don't know if they call it good, but
Sadly, I think a disaster flick from '97 would be a better movie than a lot of stuff released today.
sure, I'd agree with that.
So I watched Dante's Peak and
I
watched a
watched
couple
that
of
in school for some science class.
nice.
Not sure why, but
Hey, it's just Pierce Brosnan being suave Pierce Brosnan. It's
yeah,
all it
pretty much.
is, and it's a okay. But Sorcerer's Stone, really fun watch. Obviously, Dylan has already said he didn't even take notes because he loves
Yeah.
it so much. But this has been a really fun episode of the show in 2001. I can't remember what we're going to cover for big box office. Dylan and I have discussed a schedule for the year. It's all going to be based probably on big anniversaries now, just because they're timely. Which, speaking of anniversary stuff, we just watched 20th anniversary of Silent Hill, wildly different quality than Sorcerer's
Yeah.
Stone. That's available now as well. We also just did Labyrinth, which very different fantasy story, but if you're in the fantasy milieu, go ahead and check the Labyrinth show out. So a lot of good stuff coming your way here over on the show, and pay attention to the Spotify and the YouTube for some more. If you are part of our streaming audience, stay with us. We're gonna do the sign off of the show, and then we're gonna go straight into a movie builder episode. If not, that has been the end of this show with the Sorcerer's Stone, and we've made Dylan a very happy person finally talking about Harry Potter. So
Yep. We get one more.
we get at least Dylan. Let's be honest, we're gonna cover the whole series eventually. You know we're going to.
We don't have to, but
You know we're going to.
I mean, I'm fine with it.
If anything, we should do that would be good candidates for a Twitch watch along where we watch it live and then we have the Twitch chat going and get to talk to people as we're doing that.
Mm.
That's something that we might want to do for new content for this year. We'll talk about some watch alongs and have some fun with stuff. And then just get to talk to people as we're watching it. Which eventually we'll have to do another, since both times we've done sleepaway camp, something has gone wrong. We'll have to do sleepaway camp again because it's just
I'm fine with rewatching that.
we're always fine. We should do some Black Christmas for the Christmas season. But yeah, already we got one audience member saying they would love to do a watch along, so that'd be fun stuff to go. So we will be doing that. We also could do the Oscars, by the way. I'm just thinking out loud, but that's a different story. So, but that is going to do it for this episode of the show. Thank you guys so much for joining us. As always, Twitch, stay with us. If not, thank you guys so much for watching and listening wherever you are. Peace, love, and hugs to you all.
Bye.
Goodbye.